Good afternoon and good morning and good day, everybody, wherever you are in the world. I'm your host of Flying with Angels, Lindsey-Harrison, and with me is Riana-George, our other host, and our dear friend Becky G. And my sister Viv is listening, and we have a guest, a welcome guest. It's lovely you're here. And today we have a very special person, very special guest coming on the show, Christopher Reburn, who is an international medium, and he's been doing this mediumship and helping people for over 25 years, for the past 20 years. I've got it here. I'll just read the show description, which you will find on the show page. For the past 20 years, Christopher Reburn has been on a timeless mission to help others. Christopher's first priority has always been and will always be to help others with his highly accurate and documented psychic abilities. With his highly accurate and documented psychic abilities. Christopher founded the Psychic Spirit Organization for Psychic Insights, Spiritual Knowledge, Growth and Development in 2003. To date, Christopher continues to expand his spiritual mission, visions and gifts to help everyone within the universe who needs his assistance, and remains one of the strongest forces in the psychic, spiritual, metaphysical and New Age arena. Christopher is on a mission direct from God to help everyone who needs his invaluable psychic insights, intuitive guidance, spiritual counselling, powerful healings and making contact with the other side. And with that, I would like to welcome, with a clap, Christopher Reburn.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me on Flying with Angels. I'm so delighted to be with you ladies today.
Yes, it's lovely that you're here. And I'd like to introduce Riana as well.
Hello.
Hi, Riana.
Hi, Riana.
This is going to be a fun show. What happened was I was planning on having music for today, but the equipment I needed didn't come, and I've got a clip of applause on my clips, and so I haven't got that, so I thought we'd do it ourselves. We just go with the flow. I'm going to ask Riana if she would like to read the blessing for the show that we read every week, which is the Lord's Prayer translated from Aramaic into English, and there is a special angelic message at the end of it that Riana likes to pass on. So over to you, Riana.
O thou from whom the breath of life comes, that fills all realms with sound, light and vibration. May your light be experienced in our utmost holiest. Your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe. Give us wisdom for our daily needs and detach the fetters and thoughts that bind us. Let us not be lost in superficial things, but let us be freed from that which keeps us from our true purpose. From you comes the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age, sealed with trust, faith, gratitude, truth and love. As it is spoken, so it is. Amen. You are a beautiful, magnificent, multi-dimensional being whose sole purpose is to expand into love and be love, as is who you are. Namaste.
Amen and namaste. Thank you very much, Riana. And right, now I shall continue. Becky, I'm going to just mute you, if that's okay with you. And if anybody has any questions for Christopher, if you'd like to write them in the chat room, I can ask them the questions. And for anybody that's on microphone, I can unmute you so you can ask Christopher yourself. However, please remember that this is a family time show, and we like to keep the show quite uplifted and joyful, and nice that if your family was listening to it, they would enjoy it and not worry about what their children were listening to. So all that being said, I shall also now bring on Christopher. So hi, Christopher. How are you today?
Hello, Lindsay. Hello again. Thank you for that warm introduction, and to Rihanna and to all of our friends listening all over the world today. It's so good to be here on Flying with Angels for the first time. How exciting is that today? I'm so thrilled. We've been waiting for this. This has been several months in the making, because you asked me several months ago, and then we finally put it together a month or two ago, and we've been excited ever since. I'm just so happy to be with you all today, and everyone listening. Hello out there in listener land. Thank you for being there, and thank you for listening today.
Oh, that's great that you're here. And yes, it has been a couple of months, and I have been all excited and buzzing around today, singing happy songs. So it's nice. Would you like to, Rihanna? Would you like to come forward?
Oh, wow. Well, all I can say is that Christopher and I have been communicating when we can, and we're all sort of like, happy dance, happy dance, happy dance. Isn't that right, Christopher? We tend to do our silly little happy dance. Over to you, Christopher.
Well, it's not silly, is it?
No, it's fun. I call it a silly little happy dance because, I like it when the inner child comes out to play.
Me too. I wish more people would let their inner child come out more often, because people wouldn't be so stressed and so uptight.
Well, yes, but I think life is so serious at times. When you're an adult, it disappears. It does come out at times, but when you're bogged down with everything because of the living and earning a living and having families and having to sort this out and that out, you concentrate on that, and you forget to let your inner child out. But
a nice smile and a gentle reminder works wonders for the giver and receiver, I say.
Yeah, a nice smile on that works wonders. The time that on the intuitalks phone here that I've been on is 2324. So that is wonderful numbers. The Ascendant Masters are with us. I know they are, as well as the Archangels. And 22 is the Ascendant Masters approve of the seeds you have planted and are helping you with the new plans that you have that will come into fruition. So that's very auspicious, isn't it, for this show? Christopher, as you have been on your psychic path for so long, and have you any advice for anybody that suddenly finds themselves on a psychic path, or for some people that have been on a psychic path for a while and found they've come to that bit where they go a bit flat, where your energies, you're taking in so much information, and you need your mind and your body and your emotions to catch up with that before you can move forward. So have you any advice for people on a spiritual path?
Well, yes, I do, as a matter of fact, to take a break, to don't do too much to get yourself so burnt out, because I've watched a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I've worked with through my classes and courses, and people that were already advanced spiritually, and they get so excited. Helping people is, I think it's an addiction. It's a healthy addiction. Helping people is something that once you start doing it and you feel that really good energy, you're not going to want to stop. But some people take on such a schedule that they have no time for themselves, and then all they're doing is the work and stuff. And like I said, I've watched a lot of people go about it the wrong way. So I say number one is take a break every so often. Take a day off, take a break, take a holiday. I used to think that taking a vacation day was breaking a universal rule with spirit. We're light workers, we can never do that. We have to be all this all the time for everybody. And no, we don't. We really don't. And I think that's something that I want people to know today, is it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And that's what people worry about. Sometimes people that are very, very gifted, they're scared to make that first step to start doing readings professionally. They're scared of making a mistake. They're scared of being wrong. It happens. It happens. I think it takes a very secure light worker and intuitive to admit that yes, I've been wrong. We've all been wrong several times, and probably will be again in future. And it takes someone very secure with themselves, I think, in saying that. So don't fear that. People come into certain readings, different spiritual encounters with all sorts of expectations, and I kind of like to leave those at the door. Let it happen, let it take its time. Don't put out a fire. Some people, they have to be so quick, and some people have an agenda to be number one or to be the best of this or best of that. There is no number one. There is no best of. I don't believe in that, and I know Lynn's, this is something, that you agree, and I'm sure Rihanna and everyone else listening as well agrees, that we're all on this, that most of us, those of us that are genuine, are all on the same pathway to help other people. And that's why I don't believe in competition. I don't think there's any need for us to be competitive with clients and things like that and other people, because there's so many people in the world and they all need help. There's plenty of room for all of us to grow together. And I think that's the message for today, is just loving each other more, taking more respect to people and people that we might not understand, different walks of life, different people of different nationalities. So it's easy to judge, but it's a little bit different to walk in that person's shoes. So that's what that's a big message for today, really, is to love each other more. I think we're all brothers and sisters, like it or not. I think we are.
I feel that, Christopher, as well. I've seen it in the spiritual community, and because obviously I go out to a lot of fairs and functions like you do, and there are other people who are doing beautiful spiritual work. Excuse me, I went on my phone. It was a stranger. I don't know who it was called.
Angels calling us. That is.
I just know.
Just to say that I've seen them, and it's like I've got to do this next, and I can feel that they're just feeling that they've got to complete all the time, and it's like it's like that, and I just want to go because they're all beautiful. The work they do is wonderful.
Yeah.
I just want to go up to them and give them a great big hug. Oh no,
it usually does.
I don't know many manners. I'm like, oh please, and I often give out the message. We're not competing. We're completing, darlings. We're all spirits having a human experience. Our human experiences are very, very unique and very special to us. Everyone has value within their own self-truth. That's
right.
My message, really. But I do see it, yeah. And I think a lot of it is lack of their own confidence, self-confidence. In fact, they'll trust spirit and they'll trust their modality and what they're doing. But deep down, they haven't trusted themselves yet, Christopher. Do you know what I mean? They haven't found that in them. And I think that's quite sad, actually. And a lot of them are doing the work. They have the confidence to get up and do a workshop or something like that. But there's something that they find they've got to compete with instead of walk with, if you understand what I mean. I probably haven't written that quite quickly, but I think Christopher understands where I'm coming from. That's not
I
judging.
think we all understand where you're coming from, Rihanna, but I would like to add, going back on what Christopher said, that it is okay. When you work with spirit, they surround you with so much love and happiness, especially if you do something for somebody else. Like if you give a really good reading and they give you a really big hug, or you're surrounded by so much love when you work with spirit to encourage you. But if you don't take time out for you and play, and find your inner child and play, if you don't take time out for you, you can't help them as well as you would like to. So you need to take that time out so that you can be in a good place to help them, to help the people that they bring you, because they help us as we help them and as we help other people. And sometimes you need to just take that break, don't you, Christopher?
Don't you feel, I'm going to ask you now, that a lot of people on this path, when I say don't confuse, I love them dearly, but when it's take time out, when I say sit in nature and actually observe the actual nature on a physical level, and to me it's like the human is your temple of your spirit and your soul. As you are is acceptable. It's like if you want to go out and do a party, if you want to go for a walk, if you want to go to dinner, it's doing the human things with your family, with friends. It's like don't disregard how wonderful the human self is. And I think sometimes people would say when they go time out, I will go and we'll do some prayers to the ocean, and and they're all still, because I think we're all spirit. I don't think any of us are not. So our life is part of that. So we should honour and respect actually our lives, our individual lives. That's my opinion, of course. I mean, but how do you feel about that, Christopher?
Oh, I think it's just exactly what we just. I have nothing else to add. That completes exactly what I said and segued into what you said. Perfect. Nothing else needs to be said.
Great. Next,
the next question is: do you like jelly, or Jello, as you would call it in America?
Jello, no, because it's made from animal bones. I didn't know that until very recently.
Yeah, it is. It's made from the backbone, isn't it? Yes, I'm surprised you didn't know that.
I didn't know that until I didn't know that till recently. I was not a big fan of it to begin with, but when I found that out, that really cinched it for me. I try not to support organizations that I don't agree with, and when I did my research into Jello and stuff like that, and it did a lot of research, in fact, into it, and it uncovered a lot of animal abuse and different things. So no, I just, it's hard when you see something. It's just like the documentary Blackfish, which exposed SeaWorld for decades of cruelty to animals. And, and I think that those things that people need to watch and then decide, is this right to take our family here? Should we really go here? This is what they do to animals, so don't go there. And I think that that's important. I think that when you are a public figure whom people look to for advice, I think that we have a responsibility not just to be the person, not just to be the light worker, the psychic, whatever the people see you as, but also to be a human, and to fight for what you believe in. And animals and children are certainly, in my opinion, worth fighting for. I try to find things like so many of you and so many of our lovely listeners listening today are wonderful ambassadors for the voiceless, for people and animals that we're their voice. We're their protectors. We're trying to protect them. It's very difficult for me to imagine that we live in a world where all of our beautiful animals are going extinct, and in 20 years we may no longer have elephants or tigers there's just so many things wrong, and we're the cause. Unfortunately, humans are the cause of this, and there's no way around it. It's very difficult. But getting back to your question about Jell-O, I'm not a fan of Jell-O, but maybe a peanut butter and strawberry jammy sandwich. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I just what made me ask that is I've made some jelly today, but I saw you put up a thing. I don't know if you've got a page called Christopher's Kitchen, or you did a thing on your kitchen, and I noticed you had the eggs and you didn't eat the yolks, but you ate the white.
No.
Now, what's the difference between that then? Is it because the whites are what the chick would feed on?
I just don't like the yolks. And those eggs that were in the picture on my Facebook, the local farm that I go to, it's kind of a different farm because they only sell the eggs that don't hatch. So, and I feel good about that. I know it's kind of fun. People think, well, it's just an egg. Well, yeah, but it's just no different than other things. Oh, it's just a fetus, It depends on how you look at things. I don't have any problem eating meat. If I want a steak or if I want a cheeseburger, I'm going to have it. But I just try to lay low on that. I'm much more of a vegetables and fruit person than meat person. But I just think it's important. For me, I just think it's important to do research on some of these things that we're passionate about, because sometimes we've been misled. Sometimes different things that we've been told is the truth isn't the truth. So that's what I tell people. Always do your own research. Don't base anything on the opinions of what someone else has told you. Do your own research and find out the truth for yourself. Because sometimes secondhand information is the wrong information.
That's right. Yeah, we do that, don't we, Rihanna? We look up this and we look up that.
I'm a bit like you when it comes to. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian. I came to have a lot of serious food intolerances just over a year ago now, isn't it? I ended up trying. Ian bought me a juicer, trying up juicing raw vegetables, and I found that it was too much for my gut because my gut wasn't used to it. So I have just now, thank goodness, the last few months have balanced it out. I don't have any red meat at all. It was the red meat that was causing the problem, but I love my eggs, so I get the protein from my eggs. I have a few extra greens in my diet, and I love Mediterranean roast vegetables and things like that. So I tend to have and fresh fruit. Oh yeah, I have fresh fruit for breakfast every morning. So, I'm feeling better because of it actually. So it's all good. But my husband still loves a steak. We went out off the cuff. I think it was when we'd been on our travels and we were arriving late back from a weekend away. I think it was when we went to his parents about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we decided we'd call on the outskirts of Bristol, and it was getting late to a place that we thought was, which you'll recognise, which is the Harvester Group. We'd eaten there before. He said, well, all I can think of is the Harvester. And I said, oh, well, let's just hit it. And of course, it's changed to a company that's doing steaks, famous in steaks, right? So, chain company. So, my husband went in there and said, are you still serving? Oh, yes, sir, till about 9:45. And do you do anything other than steaks? Oh, yes, sir. We have quite a large menu. And it was absolutely delicious. Ian was able to have his steak, which was done to perfection. And I was able to have my favourite fish dish and, hunky-dory. So it was nice so that, because he does a lot of cooking, he likes cooking, but like if he fancies a steak, it's usually when we go out, because obviously he's going to have 2 or 3 different foods, unless we do a meze, of course. But yeah, so I'm with you on the meat, and I think everybody to their own. If your body is giving you a problem and there's a rejection, I think then, of course, look into your dietary, as well as going to see the doctor and that sort of thing. I think it's quite important to look after your dietary. Yeah, all good.
Right. I'd just like to... Oh, sorry, Christopher. Hello? Are you there,
Yep,
Christopher?
I'm still here.
Were you going to say something when I butted in?
No.
I'd just like to say, a friend of Christopher's, Selva Dutton, that we have met, Rihanna. We have met you, Selva, when we used to be on Blog Talk Radio.
Oh,
And
nice.
she's here, and she would like to just say hi to you. Is that all right?
That's so sweet, Salva. Oh, absolutely, it's all right. Absolutely.
Right, I'm going to unmute you, Selva, and you can talk now.
Oh, wonderful.
Christopher. There you go. How about that?
Hi, Christopher.
Hello, Salvia. It's nice to hear your voice, and welcome.
Yes, lovely to hear your voice too. It's like I'm really surprised. You got such a nice, calming voice. It's beautiful. Thank you. And
thank you for listening.
I got so many questions to ask you. I just want to know more about you. I just want to know what is it, the main thing that is most important to you on the work that you do? What is it that you really, it really inspires you?
It would it would have to be the children. It would absolutely have to be the missing persons, the work that I do with missing persons and casework like that, because when anybody calls and says something's wrong with their kid or something's wrong, you don't just stop what you're doing. You stop everything that you're doing, and that there's nothing else going on in your life at that moment, because that person, that situation has become your journey, become your life. I always love helping people. I always do, especially when it comes to children, because the younger they are, again, we're talking about literally the voiceless until they are of age to talk. Very tender ages, very difficult time, especially in this world where we have to protect our children more than we ever had to before. You know, when I was growing up, we would it was perfectly normal to let children play in the front yard in the sandbox. Now, oh no, you wouldn't even dare. You wouldn't dare. You know, and I miss those times. But that really, answering your question, that is what gets me out of bed in the morning, is helping people, is helping children, helping people find their way, people who come to me with a million pieces of puzzle scattered all over the place, and hopefully, just hopefully, by the end of the session, we will have put their puzzle completely, or just about completely, together. And the feeling that brings me, and I know all of my light worker friends listening to me will agree with me on this, the feeling that you get from helping somebody, there's no other greater feeling. There's no other feeling when someone tells you, you know, I was standing on the edge, but you helped me stay here, or you saved my life, or you helped my family during a dark time. Those are the things that keep me going. Those are the comments that are most important. Thank you for the question. That's a great question, by the way.
You really speak my language, Christopher, because that's how I feel about the work that I do as well. I'm really passionate about the help side of it. But how old were you when you became aware that you were gifted? How did you come about it?
I was about 5 or 6, the best I can remember it. I was about 5 or 6, and I was at my my grandparents used to have a lovely home in the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York, and I used to go there quite frequently when my mom was working, and you know, and they were babysitters. My grandparents took care of me when my mother was working and things. And I was about 5 or 6, and I woke up and I seen this what turned out to be an angel. I wasn't scared. I wasn't frightened. by that experience at least. But that was the first time I remember that I can, and I'm sure there were times before that, but that's the first time that my memory serves me well enough to where I can recount that with such vivid detail that it's like it just happened a minute ago. You know, I will never ever forget that. And that was the first time I can remember. That was the first experience I can remember with a spirit, when I knew that something was a little bit different. When I was another experience when I was in school, and it was recess time. We got to go out and play on the swing set and to exercise, and there was a young girl. There was a girl who was on the swing set, and I could see her, and no one else could, or at least no one else said they could. Maybe there was other people there that could see her. I don't know, but a lot of people couldn't, and I could. And another time, this was in 1987 or 1988. This was right before the space shuttle blew up. We were in class, and they got the TVs turned on. And I was feeling sick all day. I was feeling terribly ill that morning. I almost didn't go to school, but I loved going to school. So even when I was sick, I always went to school. And I just couldn't watch the TV. I knew something bad was going to happen. And 17 seconds after, well, we know what happened that day. It was a horrible day, and everybody died on the space shuttle. But those were some earlier experiences that I remember that, and I'm very proud of those moments because they gave me, and my family has always been so supportive. And so I've never felt the need to be publicly accepted by anybody. I don't care if people like me or not, because I have, well, of course I care, but I have my family, and I have my friends who love me and take good care of me. Yeah. So I've never felt the need to be beloved, if you know what I mean. I've never felt the need, that person has to accept me or else. No. That I don't care about.
Wow, that's really good. I can relate to some of that, which is really, really good. But I could ask you 1,000 questions, but I'm sure there's other people that do want to talk to you, so I don't want to hog all the time. So
thank you for your call, and thank you for listening, and I'd love to connect with you again sometime. Thank you for being here today.
I would love to. I really, really love to. Really love to. Yeah. And thank you, ladies, for allowing me to talk to Chris.
Oh, no, it's a very good platform, I tell you. It's lovely that we can say to the people in the chat room, oh, would you like to talk to whoever is on with us or with us? I think it's good. You know.
It's the first time we've heard each other's voices, Chris and I, so it's kind of special to me because I've been wanting to hear his voice for a long time. I finally got to listen to it, so I'm really, really wrapped.
Well, you can feel, Christopher. You don't have to. I expect you understand what I mean. You can feel him.
Yeah, I could feel him. Yeah,
Christopher. You can feel him in your heart and your solar plexus. Yeah, you've got a very good aura, Christopher.
That's why I wanted to hear his voice, because what I felt about him, I wanted to see if his voice matched it, and perfect. It was just it's just wonderful. It's really nice to hear someone that actually works from the heart and is passionate and is honest and has integrity and respect. You know, and it really inspires me. It gives me hope. So it's good.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, well, thank you for that. You've raised me up. Thank you so much for those kind words. That means so much to hear. I just appreciate that so much. And this is special for me to hear your voice too, my lady. So I'll remember this too. We'll both remember this.
Well, you won't have to remember it because we will have it on archives, and you will be able to listen to the archives about an hour after the show.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Can you hear the children next door? I've just shut the windows.
I can hear them.
That's rather nice, isn't it? All the children next door. They're young children. They're playing. They're under 5. Thank you very much, Sylvia. And for anybody that is listening to the show and would like to call in, the call-in number is 631-353-4342, and then you enter 70 717. Marvellous numbers there. Pat on the back from God, and he loves this at the moment. So, Christopher, do you need a break at all?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay, I'm good. Right, I'm going to pass you over to Rihanna. I'm going to mute you now, Sylvia. Thank you very much for coming on and talking to Christopher.
And it's Selva. It's Selva. S-E-L-V-A. Yes.
I thought it was Selva.
Yes, thank you. It's Selva. S-E-L-V-A.
Yeah.
Selva.
Thank you so much for coming on, Selva. You asked some really good questions. Thank you. Namaste.
Mwah. Big hug. Thank you.
And Rihanna, if you'd like to just chat to Christopher while I close the windows, and I just would like to say to Becca G, would you like to come on and ask a question on air? So if you can type in the chat room, then I'll know. But for now, I'm going to pass our special guest, International Medium Christopher Reburn, over to Riana-George. So here we go, Rihanna.
Hi, Chris. Such a dear friend, been a dear friend for a long, long time. We go right back to Blog Talk Radio years ago, and also while we were with our darling Cathies that's passed away. I know that she's here with us at the moment. And I have a question to ask you. And as I put it to you, it's not so much, it could involve your spiritual life, but I would say, tell us about a day in a life of Christopher Reburn. In other words, when you get up, what your day might consist of. And we all know that sometimes we don't necessarily make a plan, or if we have, that might change. But you might have something, and that's quite a broad spectrum to give you. But I would think that there might be, say, for example, something on the human level, on the life level, that gave you such joy, the sort of joy that you feel and that passion that you feel in your work. So this is more directional to you as a person. You know, a day in a life of Christopher Reburn. Would you like to share that with us?
Well, I'd be happy to. And I'm afraid it's not all that interesting, so it might bore a few people. So now's going to be the time if anybody wants to go get a drink of water or to use the restroom. But I like to get up early in the morning. I like to appreciate the world before everybody gets up. You know, I like to get up when the earth is still very quiet. You know, before there's the rush hour traffic of people going to work. You know, I just like the calming quiet before the world wakes up, if you get what I mean. So I normally, it's anywhere between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. I'm up early in the morning, sometimes a little bit later, depending. And the first thing that I do before I even get out of bed is I do a little bit of a prayer. I do an energy balance. And I connect with the energy of the earth, the energy of the universe. And that tells me right there how people are going to be today. If they're going to be a little bit moody, a little bit indifferent or conflicted. It tells me right away if it's how good of a day it's going to be. So sometimes it's a bit of a trap first thing in the morning. And then I will obviously get myself dressed, get myself ready and prepared and all that stuff. And then I start doing readings. I'll start doing email readings in the morning, phone readings in the afternoon, in my classes and my phone courses. And I also have a prayer and healing center on my website, which people can go to at reburn.org and can put in their prayer and healing requests, because I don't charge for things like that. I don't, in my opinion, when you're asking somebody for prayers or healing, I don't know that there is money that's justifiable for that. I've never charged for healing. I've never charged for prayers. I can't imagine that I would ever change that now. But I'm not talking against anybody that does, because, you know, a lot of us are on the same journey. A couple people a little bit different, but that's okay. Different, being unique is okay. But I go to bed good season too. I try not to stay up too late. Sleeping is very important to me to maintain good health, maintain a good mindset. I'm not a night crawler. I don't like staying up too late, and I like getting to bed early, getting to bed to sleep. I put on the Golden Girls before I go to bed most every night because it's funny, and they're not going to show you any dead bodies or vampires or anything, too ridiculous to see right before you go to bed. I like to go to bed with a smile on my face and a funny little show on television like Golden Girls or Coronation Street to my friends over in the UK and throughout Europe. I like to watch something funny before I go to sleep to kind of wind down from the day and then get up and do it all over again the next day. That's pretty much what it is, Monday through Fridays. The weekends are mine, and I don't feel guilty about that. I used to feel very, very guilty about taking weekends off. But you come to a place at one particular time in your life when you say, well, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Okay, fine. But I'm going to have a life too. I'm going to see my friends too. I'm going to go see my family too. Because back years and years and years ago, I never did any of that. When somebody wanted to say, hey, Christopher, you want to go to a movie? No, can't, got to work. Do you want to go out to see a concert? No, can't, got to work. Well, I lost a lot of friends because they were so sick and tired of calling me and being constantly rejected. Because if I had even one person waiting on me for a reading, no, I would not leave until that was done. But I see things a little bit differently now because, we have to have a life. Working for Spirit doesn't mean we can't laugh. We can't have fun with our family and loved ones and friends and have days off and vacations like everyone else. And that's what I really wanted to tell the people today listening, especially light workers and readers and healers and animal communicators and all the lovely people listening today is just take a break and don't be so serious all of the time. Let the inner child come out, as we talked about earlier today. Those are some of the most creative times in our life when we let that inner child come out. It's when I get some of my best ideas. It truly is. So, wonderful question, Rihanna. Thank you for asking it.
You're welcome. I mean, I totally agree. I know this time of the year, it's usually weekends. I think I've got 2 more unbooked for this year. There might be another one coming up, a third, which takes the weekends because I do the festivals, the fair festivals, in the southwest here. There's a lot of colleagues of mine that go all over the country, but I tend to just stay. Hi, Simon. I tend to just stay in the southwest, and I limit myself to how many I'm going to do each year. But other than that, it's definitely a certain switch off time in the evenings, and the weekends I spend with Ian. I mean, if we fancy a layout in, or if we fancy just getting in the car and going over Exmoor, out into the country, whatever we feel like doing, or we want to do a little bit of outside decorating and pottering, I tend to keep my evenings on a limitation and my weekends. When we go to fairs, I'm not one that can camp anymore. So we tend to book a B&B or a hotel, and then having a meal and being somewhere different is like a little holiday. I mean, when Ian used to work in IT, and we used to travel and go away for a few days with his work, it was nice because we could spend time, one of the places we went to was parts of Wales and Anglesey. Absolutely loved the energy there. We've been 2 or 3 times as a trip on our own as well. So I think it's vitally important to have that in your perspective when you're working in spirit. Yes, I agree with you, Christopher. Thanks for the reply. It was brilliant.
Yes, that was. Christopher, may I just say, on your weekends, I've just put up a picture of your wonderful shiner, the one where he looks all eyes at you. Have you got a favourite place you like to walk in?
Anytime I spend time with him is my favorite time, because sometimes the days are busy and, he has his own little room wherever I am and stuff, and sometimes he'll come out for a few minutes and want a little attention, and I'll give, and he'll just go back in the other room and carry on about it. He knows how busy I get. So any time I can spend with him and he's 13. He's getting on in years. He's already lived 3 years longer than most of his siblings. So of course now the time is going by even faster than ever before. And there's a park that we go to, and not many people know about it. It's kind of a hidden, so I'm not going to mention the name of it now.
Oh, no.
But it's a very nice place, which for the most part is kind of a hidden treasure. That's why I'm going to keep quiet about it. And there's a lovely waterfall that we love to occasionally take a dip into and sit there and meditate. I will take him, and he's so well behaved. When I tell him to sit down, he minds so well. And we'll meditate. I'll bring all my healing list with me, all the names on my list of the healing, and I'll focus that there. I love the waterfall. I love being near water. I love being in water, on water, whatever. It makes my spirit feel totally at peace, totally at calm. And I know so many of you out there listening and our beautiful hosts today will agree that water is so calming and so can help so many of us sort out our head if we're having thoughts, if we're having difficulty making decisions. Go near water. It's so therapeutic and so helpful. And Shiner loves the water. And the story behind Shiner, which I don't think I've ever told this before, ever, it was meant to be. He was obviously meant for me, but he wasn't, because one of my friends' dogs, obviously, had a litter of puppies, 11, and 10 survived. One passed away, but 10 survived in the litter. And so the friend that wanted one of the little babies, he was going on vacation for a week and a half with his family. I says, well, I'll watch little baby doggy. I'll watch him for a week while you go on vacation. So a week passed, and he called. He said, can you watch the dog for another week? We're going to go to Canada. And I thought, okay, fine, another week, no big deal. Well, another week had passed, and the friend called, well, can you watch him for 2 more weeks? We decided we're going to go all across Canada. And then I thought, now we got a problem. Now we got a big problem, because I fell in love with a little guy. I'm not giving him to you. He's mine. I'm not giving him away now, because you travel the world. Obviously, he was no priority. And I thought to myself, well, what kind of priority would he be with these people anyway? Obviously, if they want to travel and do things, they don't need a dog. So that's how it came to be. Isn't that exciting? I've never shared that before. Shiner originally was meant for a friend, but because that friend decided that they wanted to see more of the United States, I took the bull by the horns and said he's not going anywhere. Because it was true. By that time, I had spent 3 weeks with him. He was about 14, 15 weeks old at the time, and you know how puppies are. They're just like babies. They're real cute until they grow up.
Yeah. If you took him back, he'd be lost. He'd be wondering what's going on, because he thought of you as you were his person, Right.
Exactly. That's right on.
Yeah.
So I love him so much, and I spend as much time with him as possible, and he goes everywhere with me. It's one of those places, if he's not welcome, then I'm not welcome. I love to take him. He really does like to go everywhere I go.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. But that's a smashing story. Christopher. Christopher, I'd like to just do a shout out for all the people that are here. And if anybody would like to call into the show number is 631-353-4342, and then enter the code 70717 to speak to the host, and that's myself, Lindsey-Harrison, with my host, Riana-George. There's 2 hosts. You get buy one, get one free on this show. And you can come and listen, or you can speak to our wonderful guest, International Medium Christopher Reburn, and join in. If you sign up, you can join in as well, and you can either come on video or just listen or use your mic, but you'll be able to talk to Christopher. And I'd like to say thank you very much to everybody who's come today or who may be listening in the archives, because we have a lot of archives listeners. So thank you very much for listening to the show. We have Becca G from the US with us today. And Becca is a very good friend of Flying with Angels. We have a guest that's listening, which I feel is one of Christopher's friends, or it may be our dear Jenny Satari, who runs Intuitalks and put it together, and I'd like to thank her very much for all her help and for the radio station and all that she does. And then we have our wonderful Riana-George, who is the second host here on the show, and Riana is very supportive. Then we have Selva Dutton, who is a friend of Christopher Reburn, and Selva has already asked some very interesting questions, and you can perhaps she'd like to give you a wave because she's on camera. Give us a wave, Selva, and everybody could see you everybody be able to see you in the archives. And then we have wonderful Simon Swain from Reading, who has come in. Simon's it helps us a lot as well. He's part of the Flying with Angels team. He's come in to listen. I don't know if you're going to put your microphone on, Simon, so that you can talk to Christopher. And Simon's in Reading in the UK, sorry, and Rihanna's in the UK. I'm in the UK. Christopher and Selva and Becca are in the US. And another fantastic listener in the UK, in Somerset, is my sister Viv. She's in the chat room as well. Aww. But she's too shy to come. She's too shy to attempt the video. So, welcome everybody.
We love her anyway.
Western Australia, by the way.
Yeah, Selva says she's in Western Australia. I think this is marvellous that we can all connect all the way around the world. So, if you do you have a question, Rihanna? Because I was thinking of asking Simon if he would like to come on and chat.
Oh, yes, invite Simon for Linz.
Right, Christopher, this is a young man. This is Simon. He studies spiritual things and being a mediumship, and he goes to classes and he does artwork, which is very good. So he helps us a lot. So is that okay with you, Simon? Could you put a thumbs up? Is that okay with you? Can I unmute you now? Okay. Right. So Christopher, this is our wonderful Simon Swain from Reading in England.
Hello.
Simon, hello, my friend.
I'm okay, thanks. Yes, I as related to what's been said, I have been attending a development circle on Monday evenings for the past 3 years, and I'm fairly steadily making progress. I mean, I've been aware of spirit since I was about. I mean, I'm 45 now, but I've been aware of spirit since I was about 7.
Oh, didn't realise it was that long, Simon.
Pardon?
I didn't realise it was that long since you've been aware of spirit.
It has been, yeah, but it's only recent. It's only really recently after a journey through various religions and such like that I've really started concentrating on it and learning who my guides are. And I'm just getting to know a new one recently over the last. A new guide arrived recently within the last few days, so I'm getting to know her. So yes, It is interesting, extremely.
Well, keep up the good work, Simon. I think you're doing wonderful, wonderful, and believe in yourself and keep your confidence up and keep going. Keep going with it, because I think you've already gotten some pretty good results, and the best is yet to come. So don't give up. Keep on your path. Keep going to those Monday meetings that you've been, or I think you said for 3 years. Keep whatever's helping you. Keep going. This is definitely a part of why you're here. And I think that you'll continue to go forward with this until you reach a level that you're a little bit more comfortable with in terms of using your gift with others. But you will get there. I mean, I think there's the passion within you to leave behind some sort of a legacy or a body of work, and I'm confident that you will do that in time.
Thank you.
All right, that was very nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is a very good platform, isn't it, for talking to the hosts and the guests on the show. I'd also like to say that this is also a tribute show to Cathy Bradshaw, who was the founder of Cathies DistantEchos, who, without Cathy and Cathies DistantEchos, Rihanna and I wouldn't be doing this now. But I'd also just like to give a shout out to Chris Times, if she is listening, because she helped us so much to get this set up and to get Flying with Angels set up on Cathies DistantEchos on Intuitalk. And we're very grateful to Chris, Curious Times Chris, and I'm sure everybody here or anybody on Intuitalks will know Chris. She has a show at 3 p.m. in the morning for us, 10 p.m. Eastern. But yes, so I've put a picture up of our dear Cathy, and I put a title with it that says, Cathy, never far from our hearts and just a thought away. And we like that. And my sister Viv Christopher says, does Christopher think we all have the ability to connect with spirit?
That's a good question, and a lot of people want to know that. Yes, I think that we do. A lot of us do have the ability to connect with spirit, but is everyone meant to do what I do and what Rihanna does and what Lindsay, what Simon and Selva does? No, I don't believe everybody's meant to do that. It's just, is everybody born psychic? Yeah, I believe a lot of us are born psychic with gifts, but is everybody meant to let their life lead them toward that direction? And no. Who would clean the Tesco's at night if everybody were psychics by day? I mean, we wouldn't have anybody to clean hotel rooms. So if everybody did the same thing, we would not get on very well. But yes, I believe that everybody does, and especially since it's I'm talking to your sister, Linz, especially since it's in the family. The gift is in your family and in your ancestry. Absolutely, you have the ability. I think most people do if they're quiet to listen and open up some more. I think so. Which I would like to briefly, if I can, offer my definition of a skeptic. Is that okay? Can I talk? Can I say that real quick?
You say whatever you like, Christopher. Okay. You're the guest. It's your show.
Because I love skeptics. I absolutely adore skeptics. I really do. I really do. Because in my definition, skeptics are some of the biggest believers out there. They just haven't had experiences like so many of us have had to write home about. They haven't had that one experience that they can say, okay, yeah, all right, this is real. But they'll get there. So some people get annoyed or aggravated or disrespectful to skeptics. I don't because I appreciate them. I think that every skeptic is a believer. It's like I said, it's just they haven't had that moment yet in their life on their journey that has triggered them to really believe. But they'll get there. Every skeptic eventually turns into a believer. I found that out. Most people do once they have enough time to understand everything. That's my 30-second definition of a skeptic. So that was a great question from your sister. Sorry that I segued into something totally different, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Well, that's we find this show's very much spirit guided. So
yeah, me too.
We go with the flow. The only question we had for you today was, how does your day go? And I thought of some other questions, but they've gone out of my head because we're spirit guided.
Can I talk about Cathy?
You can, yes. We love it when anybody talks about Cathy.
Cathy is the reason why. Cathy is the reason why, truthfully, that I'm doing the show, because I get interview requests quite frequently, and truthfully, I don't do a lot of them because they're relatively boring. Because when you've done interviews for so long, eventually, to me, it's almost like a waste of time. You could be helping somebody else. But I'm doing this because I love you both so much, Rihanna and Linz, and when I got the invitation to do this show, and I seen what you ladies were doing and keeping Cathy's memory alive, I was really overcome with emotions. I have to be honest and say that. I really was. When I seen what you ladies were doing to continue Cathy's mission, to continue this show in her memory, and not abandoning it, not forgetting all about it, but keeping her memory, keeping the show alive, that's why I'm here today. And Cathy is so powerfully strong with us today. And I really believe that she wants you, Lindsey and Rihanna, both of you, these lovely hosts that are interviewing me today, she really wants the two of you to get together and do a festival, and some type of a spiritual festival in her honor, because she really thinks of you as like the Three Musketeers.
She used to
like
do
three, all for one, three for one.
We took part in that.
Yes.
We used to get a lot of people together, and they'd have like a 24-hour show thing. Went on for 2 days, didn't it, Rihanna?
Right.
Yes.
And we paired up with different people, one day and another day. It was quite, and Chris of Curious Times organised it with Cathy, and they did a lot of shows back to back, and they'd also do that over Christmas as well. Becca's just said they were fun. They were fun. You know, and then if somebody, every show would give a prize, like a free reading or a crystal or something, if the people of the show guessed something, you know, like we'd say, I've just drawn something on a piece of paper, and who could guess what we've drawn on a piece of paper, who can tune in, and the winner would, you know, get a prize or a crystal or something. But then I thought,
work very hard for the extravaganzas. It's a lot of hard work planning, but they run it from 24 hours back to back, and your name would be picked. You know, you obviously let them know when you were available, as you have the invite to do a reading. But your name would be picked out of the hat. You didn't know who you were going to pair up with, what medium you were going to work with, what modality you were going to work with. It was just picked out of the hat. It was all great fun. And the winner, I think of each section, would win a reading from one or the other individual, or both. And for 2 years on a row, and this is honestly, it wasn't designed that way, but I was with Dorothy Holder, because the first year I was invited, I think Linz was poorly.
So was I was with Dorothy. She said, if anybody's going to split us up, it'll be her.
I was with Dorothy again, so, yeah, but it was just picked up the name, so it was, very synchronistic and good, so, yes. So, but that's, that took the two of them, and was quite heavy going, so, but I think we could probably have a fun thing, similar to that, Linz, but on, not
such a big scale. Cathy was a marvellous organiser. She had such a big heart, and she knew so many people, and she was just a wonderful person, and she had so many friends and so many people that would join in with her, And as does Chris, Curious Times. I will mention Chris because Chris has been a big part of our journey on Cathies Distant Echoes and our lives, and is a very good friend. So there's a thought, Christopher. I don't know if we could organise something like that.
Oh, wow. You know, singing and dancing fun thing. We'll have to get some balloons and blow them up and all sorts. I think we're going to have I think
it's something to bear in mind for the future, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Christopher, I have a question from Selva. And Selva, would you like to ask Christopher yourself? I'm going to unmute you, okay? So this is Selva, everybody, Selva Dutton, and she has a question for Christopher. There we go.
Hi, Christopher, again. What are your thoughts on walking? Very well. I mean, it's the middle of the night here, and I'm just loving it. What are your thoughts on walk-ins?
On walking?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on them?
No, not walk-in. A walk-in. A walk-in person.
No, spirit walk-ins.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. And Salva, it really happens to you. Okay. With Salva, with you, it happens very frequently. You've got a very open spirit, so this is something that you've experienced before and probably will again. It's absolutely authentic. I believe it's absolutely authentic, these experiences when a spirit walks in, walks through, and I think some of us can be more tuned into that than others. But yes, absolutely, this happens more than people realize. A lot of people some people will experience this if they're wanting a sign from a loved one in heaven. As I've told many people before, if you're crying, if you're emotional, if you're upset, stand up, put your arms out, ask the angels for an embrace, ask the angels to bridge the gap between you and your loved one for that embrace, for that walk-in. And it doesn't happen every time, but it does happen to those that are open and vulnerable to the experience. So yes, absolutely. And thank you for staying up all night long to listen to me, my love. That's quite extraordinary.
Could you elaborate?
Some people are so dedicated.
I've been in Collie, in the town where I live in, for 36 years, and the spiritual circle here is very, very small. So whatever chance I get to connect with people that are like-minded and are genuine, I take every chance I get. That's why before I did the show with Chris Times, I used to do one in England with another guy. But I like genuine workers. I like people that are genuine. So I stepped away from a number of people. So that's why I knew you'd be worth a listen. So I thought, no, it's worth staying up and having my hot chocolate and.
Thank you.
And I lost that darts tonight, so I needed something to cheer me up, and you're my medicine.
Oh. Well, I'm sending you a big, big, big hug across the miles, and when you go to bed, hopefully you'll be able to go to bed after we're through and get a couple of hours of sleep. You know, the beauty rest is important.
Well, it is, but I only sleep about 3-4 hours a night. I spend most of my time up writing and doing things, and then I have a nana nap, you know, and since I'm a grandmother, I'm allowed to have a nana nap, you know, so I just have a nana nap during the day whenever I need some.
Well, that's a good thing to do. Enjoy those naps. They're deserved.
Now, Cathy, you wanted him to elaborate on walk-ins? Is that what you're going to ask me for?
Well, I'm Lindsey-harrison. I'm Lindsay, and I come under the name of Cathies Distant Echoes, but could you elaborate on what a walk-in is for the listeners, please?
Sure. Okay. Now, a spirit. If the listeners, of course, that don't know what it is, if you want to take it from the top, you know, a spirit is just like us. They've crossed over. They're in heaven, or as us spiritualists like to call the other side. But sometimes it's the other side, heaven, the other side. It is the same thing as far as I'm concerned. I believe that we call it the other side. When you call it heaven, well, sometimes there comes a religious attachment when you say heaven, but when you say the other side, but not to get it confused, because I've always believed it's the same thing. But a walk-in is when a spirit will literally, there's not much more to go in depth with. A walk-in is exactly as it sounds, where a spirit will walk in a body. It could be in a complete stranger's body. It could be it could be a loved one coming through. It could be many different. It could be a number of different things, and it really is specific to each person and that individual moment when it happens. It's very hard to say, and without being general about it, because every experience is different. But those are absolutely authentic. When a spirit. Sorry?
Can I share an example?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to cut you off. I'm pretty stubborn, and I've been working with the spirit since I was 4 years old. So I treat spirit the way I treat you ladies, to just treat them normal. They're just, to me, they're normal, like people alive type of thing. And sometimes I don't listen to instructions very well. So Christopher was right. I do get walk-ins quite often, mainly when I'm not listening to what I'm supposed to be doing. So a spirit virtually incorporates in me. To make sure that I learn the lesson that I need to learn, because I'm too darn stubborn to listen sometimes. But sometimes I've had a couple of walk-ins of the spirits that they didn't know they were dead, and they're looking for somewhere to belong as well. So that's different altogether. So it really depends, like Christopher said, the circumstances of what type of walking you are going to experience in that sense.
Yeah.
Does that help?
I agree completely. Mm-hmm.
Does that help, Cathy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes and no. I'm a bit unclear on that. I always thought a walk-in was if you had a near-death experience, and like you're in a coma or whatever, and when you wake up, you have a different soul within you that carries on your life for you because your life has been too hard. I thought that was a walk-in.
Yes, and
well,
Cathy,
that would be probably what I would probably consider an exception, or something more like an exception, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think
there's going to be exceptions. There's always going to be exceptions, but with near-death experiences, with traumatic accidents, car accidents, different things where there's trauma and people that are in comas that wake up and can see angels, that can see spirits all of a sudden and they never could before. I don't know. I don't always take that into the meaning that they have come back with a new soul. I sometimes take that into this was a near-death experience, and they're coming. They've come back again. It wasn't their time to cross. But Linz, and what you said, that I believe that would be a good exception, an exception to the rule. But I would categorize that as a walk-in as well as what you said.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's the only type of walk-in I know of. It's not. It's not common, but it does happen. That's what I think of as a walk-in, but it's not common. But I find it interesting what Selva's explanation was. That was very good.
Can I ask a question?
Well, I think for walk-in, there can be a number of different definitions. I mean, it just depends. Like I said, to begin with, every situation is different. We would really have to do it case by case in every situation to do a read on it to see. But no, I agree with everything that you've said. I think we're all on the same page here.
Oh, right. Okay.
Could I ask you a question, Christopher? What do you see, or could you give us an example of what we call soul retrieval? Because I think that is probably what Linz is talking about, Is there a difference?
No, I'm not talking about soul retrieval, Rihanna. I know about soul retrieval.
Yeah, I'll let him tell us about it, if you don't mind, Christopher.
Well, yes, and I understand what you're saying, too, Linz and stuff, and I get what you said as well. Well, with soul retrieval, and it's something that I have not talked a lot about, and I think that can also be a case by case. It's not as common as people would like, and soul retrieval is just now slowly becoming people know about it. People are asking questions about it. 10, 15 years ago, nobody knew what it meant. Right? I mean, Rihanna, anybody, I mean, this is something that seems to me over the last 10 years, the last 5 or so 10 years, people are starting to ask about soul retrieval. And I think that the soul always remembers. I forgot what the question was now. But when it comes to soul retrieval and going back in time, is that what you're asking? Like to go back into the records, like the Akashic records?
I think.
Yeah. Well, what it is with soul retrieval, when I learned this when I was early on my path, I found out information about it. When you have an emotional upset in a past life, or perhaps the way that you have died, sometimes part of your soul is left in that left lifetime. So when you have a regression in a past life, it takes you back to that time. That when you are then re-shown that past life, you like experience it as it was, but the part of you can have a releasement where you'll be crying, and you release that stuck emotion, and part of that emotion is given back to you. So your soul retrieves it. This is on a higher level, and it's very higher. And come here a minute. Oh dear, come here.
I think we've got a beautiful little
right,
visit.
everybody. I've got to show you my dog. Hang on. Not you, Dave.
Oh, not me.
No, I want to show. Wait a minute. Hang on. Can you just hold him there a minute?
Have a paper.
Well, everybody, I'm sorry, Christopher. Dave's just brought the dog back from having his hair cut, and he's got a yellow bandana around his head, and you'll be able to see him and this bit on the archives, and he's looking all lovely. So I think because he's come in and done that, and Dave's come in and waving, say hi, Casper. Say hi. I think that's a topic we'll have to leave for another day. Oh, there you go. Off you go. Good morning.
Christopher, I've got another question for you.
Right, okay. Sorry, Selma.
Christopher, I've got another question for you. What are your thoughts on babies that are born without soul? What have you thought of that? I will tell you what my thoughts are after. I'm just wondering what you think.
For babies that were born without souls? Is that what the question was?
Yes, that's what the question was.
I don't know that I have an answer for that, to be truthful. I don't know that I've ever connected to the only babies with... I don't know that I've ever connected to a child that didn't have a soul, so I don't know how to answer that. I can truthfully say I've never connected to anybody without a soul. So I don't know how to answer that, unfortunately.
No, thank you. That's exactly the way I wanted you to answer it. We've had a lot of issues later, especially because I'm part of a program that's called Hug a Druggie's Baby. And so we go to the hospitals with all these addicts that have babies, and of course babies need a lot of love, as you know, and that. So we and I had this lady there, and she said, Silva, I don't know why you're spending so much time here. These babies have no souls. I said, how could you say that? Of course a child's got a soul. It'll be probably a little confused soul at the moment because it's between two identities and two different vibrations. But of course it's got a soul, you know, and there's been about 4 or 5 people that have told me the same thing. And I said, no, I don't believe this. I just don't believe it. That's why I wanted to ask you to see how you felt about that, or if you heard about it, because I was very surprised to hear about this.
I've never heard of such a thing like that before. And I would be very interested in understanding where they got their information from. You know, there's a lot of people that have different information.
If you're looking up that sort of thing, you can find a lot of information on it, but I prefer to stay away from that, you know, because I don't
I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say in regards to the people. Okay, we're talking over each other. I have nothing to say in regards to whoever. I have nothing to say in regards to whoever created that. I don't believe in it, but if someone else does and it helps them, although I can't quite see how it would help them, fine. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. If someone else does, fine. Not me.
No, thank you. I'm glad that you don't. I just thought maybe I'm the only one that doesn't feel that way. You know, there was just so many people that were saying to me. I said, I'm sorry, I just can't accept it. It's not me either. It's like definitely not me. You know.
Right.
I'm the same,
I appreciate you asking the question, Salva. Thank you for asking the question.
Yeah.
I look at it as if the question is asked, somebody listening needs to hear it, or somebody in the archive will need to hear it, you know.
Oh, yeah, right on.
Yeah. I believe as well that at the time of the thought of the creation, even if you like it was an accident, at the time that one cell becomes 2 and evolves, that is a soul that is being created, because I do believe, and on more than one occasion I know my daughter had a miscarriage, and unfortunately, but I do know that not only myself but other people have had it, that it's a female, that where she is, how she's growing, how there's another friend.
She came to visit me, didn't she?
Yeah, that's looking after. She actually visited Lynn's, perhaps she'd like to say. So I do believe that from the fetus, or from the first thought, they're probably on their path, and they're not really meant to be here, they're meant to be elsewhere, but that's like a little drop in. But I do believe that they're connected, that everything's connected. Anyway, Lynn's, tell them about the visit that she gave you.
Oh, yeah. Izzy, she came and visited me and moved things around in my bedroom. A little brooch with a nice picture of a lady and a man on it. And one of my angels as well, she moved. And I kept thinking, what is that there? I'm sure I never put it there. And the brooch had completely moved from one point to another, and I couldn't figure out how it got there. And then when I was dozing off to sleep, I had this image of a child in my mind, and it wouldn't go away. So I called Archangel Michael and said, please take her home with you, because I knew it was a spirit child. And he did. Well, she wouldn't go at first, and he did take her. And anyway, I mentioned it to Rihanna, and her daughter had such a bit of a problem the day before, and Izzy had been and visited someone else, and Rihanna, and she'd come to me. So Rihanna called on Archangel Michael and Josie, our friend Josie in spirit, and they're looking after her. But yeah, so she's but she's a lovely little girl.
Yes,
I wasn't quite sure what to make of it.
She's about 7 or 8 now, but when she was about between 3 and 5 limbs. That's when she's, or probably 2. She was a busy little bee and very stubborn.
See, we learn as you go on, don't you? You know.
And it was quite just so. We had to ask her to be set back with Michael and Josie, and she could go and visit, but she couldn't go full out. You know, it was just so that she knew that.
Josie's another friend that we have in spirit. We have a lot of friends in spirit,
Yes.
unfortunately. Well, they're with us, but anyway. Does anybody like to say anything else to Christopher? Because it's nearly past, although we can go over slightly, but I've got my granddaughter coming in a minute. And so, Christopher, have you anything you'd like to say?
Well, I just want to send a big thank you out to everyone for listening today, and thank you to Lindsay, thank you to Rihanna, thank you to Becca, to Simon, to Selva. Did I miss anybody? Anybody else I missed? I'm sorry. I try to remember everything without writing anything.
Viv.
And your sister as well,
Viv.
who had the question. So thank you, everyone, for listening today. I have had a really wonderful time. And if I leave any messages with all of you before we go today in our final moments, I just want to say that we're at such a difficult time in the universe right now. And a lot of it has to do with political figures. A lot of it has to do with world leaders. And we have to join forces and to stay close with each other, because I'm watching a lot of people, a lot of us are turning on each other. I've been watching that. A lot of people seem to be turning on the wrong people. So we have to stay close. We have to stay in love with each other and compatibility with each other, and most importantly, there for each other. And those of you that are worried about the prospective wars and things happening, we've got so many angels trying to keep everything in check. And I know that Rihanna will speak about that at another time at one of her upcoming festivals and events. But we've got so much protection. We've got a lot of angels. We've got so many people in spirit that are working to build better and more happiness for all of us to get along together, for all of us to thrive together, which is really how it used to be, and how it will be again. So I always tell people, pick your battles very, very carefully, and pick your enemies very carefully, because if you're very, very spiritual and you're full of love, then you have no enemies. I mean, there might be people that may not like you, but in your mind, you let them have their opinion, and don't challenge them. Love them for who they are, and go on about your journey. Don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. A lot of people are very insecure and weak, and only an insecure person or a weak person will tell you can't be that, you can't do that, you can't become this person, you can't do that great thing, you're not capable of that. That is a very weak, manipulative person that would tell you such a thing. Don't listen, and continue shining your light. Lindsay and Rihanna, you both are such fantastic ambassadors for the angels. Wonderful ambassadors for the voiceless, people that don't have a voice. You help to give them that with this show. I love you both so much. I cannot thank you enough for letting me come on today to talk about me and my journey and my life, and I'm so happy to be friends with you ladies. And all I can think of is, when are we going to do this again? We gotta do this again.
I was just to say, I hope you'll come back and join us again soon.
I will come back anytime you ask me to come back. I've loved the show, and like I said, I love what you ladies are doing with this show for Cathy, and that just means so much. And I will come back anytime and every time, again and again and again. I love to all of the listeners. Hello to all of my listeners and my crew who are joining us today, and to any newbies out there, welcome to Team Christopher. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and Lindsay, for all your hard work, and Rihanna, for everything, for the years and years and years. This is really, we've all come full circle together today. Yes. And it's been a beautiful day, and I thank you with all my heart.
Oh, thank you. And we thank you
That's
too.
right.
Thank you, Christopher.
That's right.
Before we go, I'd just like to say, God, all silly now. I'd just like to say before we go, the next show will be in 2 weeks' time, and we are having our wonderful Mama D Darlene Angel, Mama D Angel, who is our Darlene, coming on for a chat and to do readings as well. So that's on August the 10th, 2017, and that's 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks, because we have to, in the summer, we have to juggle what we're doing, because Rihanna's doing a fair, so we put it back. And then after that show, we got another 3 weeks, and then we're having Nick Fox come on, and he's going to be doing readings and chatting as well. So it's all go.
Yes,
I'll let you all know when we decide to have a festival.
Which is unusual, but
All right.
that's how the fairs are right. So, hence I've had to do a bit of juggling. But thanks, Lindsay.
And thank you very much to Selma and Simon and Becca G and
Yes.
Viv and the guests that we've had listen and everybody that's listening in the archives. So thank you very much. God bless you all, and
Thank you,
bye-bye.
guys. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now. I love you, ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you too.
Chris.